Not good. Not good. A lot of heat. So what we're going to do is take a little bit of our final inspection, lightly mist onto that dry pad, just so that initial pass before it starts picking up product, there's some lubricity right there. It's not saturated, but there's a little bit of moisture to it.
This is damp.
It's damp.
This is mostly important with the rotary buffer, though, not a dual action.
That's correct, only with the rotary. Okay.
Because it's rotating at a high speed.
If you want to use the least aggressive, shouldn't you use the 9,000?
That's a great question. And we're working, that least aggressive method is kind of that initial cut or that initial scenario. At this stage of the game with swirl marks, we really need to evaluate what we got. So theoretically, you could go to the 9,000 pad. Might take you a couple applications, but let's hit it with that yellow. But it's really important on that initial cut that you don't go too far. Because at this stage, we're really not doing a lot of cutting. Let's go. I'm going to try 80 just for giggles. Go ahead, Mike.
But on the forum, sometimes we talk about doing a test spot. In a real-world scenario, if you were working on the complete car, before you would tackle the whole car, and say you're wet sanding on the car or just removing serious defects, you'd want to dial in your system to one small area, make sure you can make one small area work good, and then once you dial in that system, then you would duplicate that over the entire car. So you have a finishing pad and a polishing pad there, and you might try the finishing pad. If you found it wasn't removing the swirls, wasn't getting the job done, then you could go to the yellow pad, or vice versa. But once you are able to make a small area like he's doing there on the hood of that car, then it's just a matter of duplicating that over the entire car. And you know if you can make one small area look good, when you're done with the entire car, it's going to look good.
Yep.
So it's real key to dial in your system before tackling the whole car.
Yep. The last thing you want to do is grab the pad, do the whole car, and go, that quite didn't turn out the way I thought it did. And have to redo the entire car.
So much for that day.
So much for that day. So the process is essentially the same. We set our speed, we're going to control our pattern. This is what I'm really going to get into working with this machine, but let's turn down our speed. I was at about 1800 on cutting. I'm starting to get this finish nicer and nicer. Let's turn down the speed. I'm going to be at about 1300 right now. Okay? And again, notice I'm not pressing with a lot of weight. Let the product do the work. Notice my arm speed. How slowly the bumper is going back and forth. I'm not in a hurry. I'm just letting the product do the work. And if you also notice how much longer polishes tend to stay wet. Notice we call this playtime. This gives you a chance to just work that surface. If you have a film underneath that pad, it keeps that surface cool. It keeps it lubricated. A lot of products at this stage start to dry up really bad. They powder. That could generate what? Swirl mark. Don't forget, this machine is in control of you. The goal when you're working with these types of machine is guide the machine, don't fight the machine. Too many times, who's seen some newbies work machines? Anybody been lucky enough to see a newbie work a machine? Brian, over here, yeah. I mean, they're like this. The knuckles are white, they're just sticking to the board. You know? Just guide the machine. Okay, guide the machine. Just be loose. Okay? Who's worked a floor polisher in their life? Okay?
Just do it for a living.
I did it my first job, okay? The way you steer those floor polishers is by lifting up and pushing down, okay?
If you find them, you'll be thrown across the room.
Repeat that very loud.
If you find them, you'll be thrown across the room.
Okay? This has the same action as those machines. What do you think is going to happen if I tilt up or I tilt down? What's it going to do? Watch. It goes all over. So when you just sit in one position, you know, it's not that hard to make these work. It's when you start tilting them that they go all over the place. You know? Okay. Work with it really nice and easy, okay? Just trying to guide the machine, okay? Something also to think about through your head. Big flat area is easy to do. Easiest thing you can work on. If you're learning to work with these, get yourself big areas. When you start getting into areas like this, you start getting in trouble, okay? Think about it for just a second. Just use common sense here. If I'm working on this edge right here, and the pad is spinning this way, okay? So it's going off like that. Is it gonna have a tendency to burn on this side of the pad, or is it gonna burn the paint on this side? Over here, because it's coming off, and it's coming back on. So if I do this all day long, a little bit of tilt, not an issue, but if I do this, see how it's biting that real bad? So we talk about keeping the surface flat at all times on level, but just think in your head as you're working around a contour. It's actually real easy once you get the hang of guiding these, how to tilt it and how to not tilt it to cause a problem. Okay? That quick. Okay? Do I dare? Lots of posts, lots of information, and we got to give it up to you guys to say you're eager, you want to learn, you want to take the next step, you want to try things. Great, but, okay? Many times we've seen people, I've sanded, now what do I do with the DA to get the marks out? Many of you might have seen some of those posts. We're like, what are we doing? Okay? DA is only capable of so much, okay? Here's 2,500. Let's see what it'll do. Because we recommend that this will not be able to take these out. What happens is, that looks horrible, doesn't it? Well, you DA, it looks kind of shiny, but if you start looking at it, you're going to see a difference between here and here that's dramatic. Once you get into this area, you really get spoiled, is a good word, of how good it can be. You'll notice real quick the limitations of this machine. Now, we're not here to say this machine's bad. We're not here to say go here. Difference between the two is dramatic. Okay? 83.
What people don't understand a lot of times is how hard the paint is. So it's easy to sand the paint. That means put the scratches in. When you go to get the scratches out, that's when you start running into problems with a gentle tool like that one.
Yes. Okay. 83. I'm going to go to 5. Oh, back and forth, just like you guys seen Mike work many times over and over and over. Okay. Let those diminution abrasives work. Notice how slow I'm working back and forth. Really want the product to do its job. Moderate pressure. And the reveal. What do you guys see or not see?
So see a little bit.
A lot.
Good, that goes that.
A lot.
Oh, is the sanding marks
Oh,
there?
man.
Looking at an angle.
Oh, yeah, you get the right angle.
Again, compare
From
this
back
side
there, it
and
looks-
this side.
Yeah, from back there it looks pretty good. You get here where the light hits it.
And that is
It's
exactly
night and
what
day
we see
difference,
people
yeah.
on, you know, they'll do it and they'll go, wow, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, because from back here it actually looks really good.
Sure
You
does.
walk over there and it's like, no, I'm not paying you for this work.